Which players did a rise up, rise up? Which ones fell down, as bad as this intro was? Oh boy, people must hate that. But you're going to love this episode. We're going to talk Dynasty risers and fallers today on the Dynasty Six Pack. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 40 of the Dynasty Six Pack. I'm one of your hosts, Kyle Senra, and joining me are my co-hosts. First, we have Rahul Natarajan back in action in the entourage. I'm bad at this today. How are you doing? You're the one that had the week off. It doesn't show apparently for me.
Doing well, Kyle. I probably rate that second joke post the intro a little better than the first one.
Funny, I actually thought I nailed the intro, but I'm a huge fan of self-deprecating humor, so I guess that
you nailed the
there's the bias, right? There's a lot of bias we got to address in this episode. So there's the first one.
No, that's very right. I mean, I thought you nailed the rise up, and then the energy in the fall down really fell down. But
that's really appropriate to right? Like that's how we felt about the players who, man, what an amazing season. Other players just made us feel like we wanted to just scroll off the screen and no, never play again.
No, that's absolutely right. I like that you said biases because I feel like there could be some fantasy receding on our own takes today. Certainly, some of the players I want to talk about are ones that my initial position has changed dramatically. So I'm excited to get into it with you and Jamie tonight. So yeah, excited to be back.
You said the key name, Jamie Perog. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. We got a yearly roller coaster where stocks are moving, prides are bruising, and then we got some raising the roof, and others get low.
Ooh.
some guys are really launching to the moon. We're going to be talking about some. Others are falling off the depth chart. Like they actually missed that last step on the stairs and fell flat on their face. So let's dive in and find out whose stock is cooking and whose stock is getting cooked.
Oof. That was beautifully said.
Yeah, Jamie's way better at that than I am. But you know where it's always cooking? Fantasy Six Pack. You got the website, you got the Discord. Great things happening, lots of great articles, great interactions on the Discord as well. I do my goal line guard article every week. I'll plug that since it's mine. But yeah, I know Jamie loves it so much that he'll let me keep talking about it. So thanks, Jamie. And if you want to get even more access, you have the F6P All Access membership. And using our promo code F6P Pods, you get a 15% discount. That's F6P PODS. All letters capitalized and the Arabic numeral 6. F6P Pods. Again, 15% discount for that All Access membership. Was it a 15% discount of a season for CJ Stroud this year? That much of a faller? Rahul, this is your show idea, your concept, risers and fallers. Look at the whole season or most of the season now as we get to the final week of the regular season. And one of the names you brought forward was CJ Stroud. So go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, I think CJ Stroud, certainly one of my biggest fallers this year, and a faller in the market nonetheless. It's not just me who was perhaps higher on Stroud in August and as far back as maybe our third episode, or sometime around there, March, April time, where I had CJ Stroud as my QB 8. He's currently QB 16 on KTC, the 51st overall asset, but that's also ahead of Darnold, Goff, Jones, and Bryce Young as well. That maybe to even take a leaf out of how you value players, Kyle, I seem to remember a lot of our discussions where you really leaned heavily into the points scored right now compared to youth at some of our rankings disagreements that we've had. And yeah, that's all to say, like Darnold, Goff, Jones, and Bryce Young is a separate case, but the three veteran quarterbacks, like I take them over CJ Stroud right now because I don't really want to I think there's a discount you apply on the age, but I don't think anything we've seen from Stroud this year makes me want to bank on those extra years over the point score. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to score some points and win some championships. To get into Stroud's points, he's been QB 24 in points per game, 15.1 PPG. But up until the concussion game, because then the concussion game he got injured early, so just throwing out the rest of those. He's at QB 17, 17.4. He had 10 points in the very last game. So anywhere from 15 to 17 points. Very, very replaceable production. Like even in a super flex league, kind of the injuries this year, like you're seeing Jacoby Brissett just come out of nowhere and like be one of the most consistent fantasy scorers since he's been the starting quarterback, right? So it's very replaceable production. He's only had 2 games above 20 points, and one of them was against Ravens D, the early season Ravens D that just like had no one, and he had 28 points. But that's one of 3 games this season with multiple touchdown passes. So you're really not getting that ceiling. You're not getting much on the ground, even though like he looks like Stroud has scrambled a little bit more, a couple of 30 rushing yard games, but no true fantasy upside from there. I also wonder if how good this Texans defense is and how young it is. Like over the years, we're going to see Stroud's ceiling limited a little bit more just because they don't have the defense that allows them to get into shootouts. All these are reasons why, like, I think like a lot of people, but certainly like speaking for my rankings, CJ Stroud has definitely fallen down. Like I'd probably have him closer to QB 18, 19, even 51st overall asset is where he goes around like a lot of very strong flex options. And again, started like when I started to talk about how I might have to reshape how I rank. It's just, yes, QBs and super flex are king, but why pay 50th overall price for points per game that's probably going to keep me behind in almost every matchup? So for all those reasons, CJ Stroud is a faller. So I'm curious what you guys think about Stroud.
I think Stroud is an interesting take on that. Like, what are we valuing in Superflex? It's a huge philosophical debate. We could just open a huge can of worms right now.
Yeah.
Or we can get very specific. So go ahead, Jamie.
Oh man, how far has CJ Stroud fallen? Do you remember a time when Keep Trade Cut had him as the number 1 overall quarterback for that little bit of span? I looked at that and I was like, this is my time to sell. So I sold almost all my shares when people valued them that high. I forgot where I had him going into this season. I would say he was probably around 13, 14 for me. He's still in that area. So he hasn't moved. He did have that one blow-up game against the Baltimore Ravens. He was the number 1 overall quarterback. I believe he had almost 30 points that game. And Raul, you're right. He doesn't have much rushing upside, but he has enough ability to get you those like 2 or 3 extra points on those scrambles. He's still young. He's 24. Like I think he just turned 24. And I blame it on a lot of that offensive line. Like they're putting weapons around them in the receiving game, like Nico Collins. They got Higgins, Jalen Knowles, a good one. Like they brought in Christian Kirk. So I could see going into the draft, them focusing on that offensive line where he actually does have a better game. So if you're valuing CJ Stroud as QB 18 or lower, I'm going to go out and buy him. I will buy him because I think he should be around that like 14, 15 area right now for me.
It's funny that, as Rahul mentioned, it was all about the age, right? So this is where that big debate comes in. Like so the appeal of Stroud, again, is more seasons compared to, because those guys that I have, like, Stroud was 14 versus 17, like Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott. I'm thinking of those 3. Daniel Jones will be the next one. I know, Raul, the other name you mentioned, I think, was Trevor Lawrence, right?
Just now I mentioned Darnold, Goff, and Daniel Jones is behind him.
Darnold, sorry, was the other one. Yeah, those are all. It's tough anywhere in that range. I guess not Lawrence, right? I definitely prefer Stroud over Lawrence, but yeah. Like even a guy like Dak Prescott, right? Like the points Dak's getting you, and he has been able to produce in the past. Is that worth more or less than how many years you get of Stroud that may never hit that production? Right?
It also depends on the win now team or if you're rebuilding also. Because I have Dak right behind Stroud. But if I was going in a win now situation, I would put Dak over Stroud.
Yeah, he's a the guy you want to be buying going into a playoff run right now. Stroud isn't necessarily. So
Yeah.
again, the hope of maybe as rebuilders, he's a good buy because he's fallen, right? So he could be a faller by true definition, but also then that makes him a buy suddenly because he's a faller. So just because, like, again, a player is viewed as a faller isn't necessarily going away. If Stroud's cheaper than he's ever been, Rahul, are you interested in buying at that point?
I actually think I am, as both of you guys really spoke about like that concept. Like I'm actually pretty into that idea, because also if you take it another way, QB 18, where I kind of currently have in QB 18-20, CJ Stroud is going to get, a massive extension when he becomes due, which I think is this summer, right? This offseason, he's in line for a massive extension. He's taken the Texans to playoff twice, and they're, have a good chance of making the playoffs this year as well. It merits multiple more years of CJ Stroud starting, and it's hard to see him actually fall beyond that point, because in Dynasty, if you look at the guys who are like 21 and below, it's like a lot of very old guys, like guys in very temporary situations, not much talent, like we don't believe in. So yeah, with all those factors and the fact, yes, he's certainly fallen from QB 14, 13, where you guys had him, QB 8, where I had him, as high as the 101 in Dynasty as some had him. That does represent an opportunity to bounce back. Because, yeah, Jamie, you talked about it there. Like, the O-line has been a huge problem. Even with the weapons, it took them quite a while for all the rookies to even get integrated. Like, just now, we're seeing Jaden Higgins become a full-time player. So the upside is there. So I guess to spin that on the head, it could certainly be a good buying opportunity for CJ Stroud with how far he's fallen.
Just to keep trade cut price, because we're going to talk about a few players in that, is QB 16. So that seems like that range. 13 is Baker Mayfield, 14 Dak Prescott, 17 Sam Darnold, 18 Jared Goff, right? So like the consensus has Stroud right in there. I think that is a very good mix. Daniel Jones at 19, Trevor Lawrence 20. The one name I didn't mention here, Brock Purdy at QB 15. I think I'd rather have him than all those guys.
Yeah, I got Purdy above Stroud.
Purdy always gets hated on. So like Purdy being one spot ahead of Stroud is a little weird to me, but it feels like anywhere in that range, right? Like that's basically QB 14 through 20 right there in consensus. So
yeah,
where does Stroud fall in that mix? It's weird because you could have him next to Dak Prescott, and it's total opposite. So yeah, maybe do we start getting into the habit of ranking dynasty rankings contender versus rebuilder rankings?
Yeah,
Is maybe and these philosophical concept debates, that's what the whole episode is. We're just gonna talk about risers and fallers. Stroud. The big discussions have definitely risen, that's for sure. Some short clips have fallen for us, but anything else to say about Stroud?
Yeah, no, and not to open that philosophical can of worms, but I do think something that I've learned is like to maybe not value that guy who's going to be locked into like a fantasy QB2 as high as I previously have in Dynasty. And youth certainly played a part in that, but I'm falling a little bit out of love with like that idea of like I need to lock up both my QB spots with youth and like starting roles, because at the end of the day, if my opponent is picking Jacoby Brissett, Marcus Mariota, Tyrod Taylor off the waivers and outdoing what the CJ Stroud I spent up to get is, that might be actually a flaw in my game. So that's as much as I'll open that can there.
I guess I'd say it's in volume, right? If you get Stroud and you get Brissett, you can be playing matchups. You could, right? So I think it's, even if you do manage to get that QB2, is to not content yourself and say, oh, it's good, I don't have to worry. You're rostering backup quarterbacks and just waiting for them to get chances and figuring out who the high priority backups are and rostering them, I think makes a lot of sense. So you could do both too. Like getting Stroud and trading for Stroud right now doesn't also preclude you from finding next year's Jacoby Brissett, or even just getting Jacoby Brissett. Maybe that he is himself next year. But someone I was thinking was Josh Dobbs, right? Like Josh Dobbs was in it. I think he's with the Patriots now, right? I believe.
Yeah.
And so like that would be right now an offense that actually looks to be pretty great. Like, and we know Dobbs' skill set, he could run fairly well, but passes super well, and it also seems like he can come in and do the backup thing and just throw a lot. Like somebody you can trust with volume It's good for fantasy, high upside when he's playing. It's just, the guy in front of him has done so well. Drake Maye, he's risen. So, Josh Dobbs, first off, hasn't played yet this year because Drake Maye has just been dominating and as a result has risen quite high in our rankings. Do I own up? Because more than anyone, I should probably say Drake Maye is a riser, right? Does anyone want to go back to Dynasty Court? I guess I'm being summoned again.
All I want to say is, nah, I told you so.
Hey, order in the court. Order in the court. That was a couple of months ago.
And to be fair, that was a Judge Rahul presiding that Drake Maye decision. But I had Drake Maye at QB 17. Definitely think to Rahul's point, definitely sided with Jamie at the QB 7 spot, which made sense because honestly, QB 7 is too low for him right now too. He's risen even beyond that, and even I'll admit that. So, Jamie, you're right. Here you go. I mean, I know you've talked about Drake Maye positively and bragged about it all year already, all season, but go ahead and do it some more. Talk about Drake Maye as a riser.
He was the guy that I was going after religiously preseason. Like I said, I had him at 7, and I was trying to buy him at the outside the top 12. So, because what you want to do is you want to, buy low, sell high. But he's at a point now where I'm not even going to sell him. He's currently in my top 3. I have him at 2 right now, QB 2. And I think he's going to be staying in that area right now because he has the opportunity. He's getting the productivity, and he's efficient. He's top 10, I believe, in pass attempts, and he's I think he's number 1, I want to say, in yards. Is that correct? Or am I making that up? But anyway,
check you on that.
Yeah, check me on that. But his passer rating for real NFL purposes, he's number 2 with his passer rating, and his QBR is number 4. He's putting up top 5 fantasy points per game, and points per drop back, he's also top 5. I think it's just going to get better for him, man. The dude's so young. He has a supporting cast around him. They're just going to build around more pieces. The receivers are really young right now. Yeah, he has Diggs, but even the receivers around him are rookies or in their second year. They're going to grow along with him. So that another reason just to go get Drake Maye right now. I can't say enough about this guy. And I know you want to buy low, but just buy him at value right now because you're not going to regret it. He's a top 5 quarterback every week pretty much. I'm going to look at his weekly rankings. Yeah, I mean, he only fell out of the top 10, I think twice, 2 or 3 times. That's it. And that was like QB 12. Yeah, he had 1 at 16, and his only bad game was, week 5 against Buffalo, and that was it. Other than that, you were so happy to start Drake Maye. Even the past, 3-4 weeks, I was starting Drake Maye over a Lamar Jackson in one of my Dynasty single quarterback leagues, and I got a message from my buddy, and he has those 2 also, and he's like, am I crazy for starting Maye over Lamar? This was 2 weeks ago. I'm like, hell no, I'm doing it. I've been doing it. You need to continue doing it. So yeah, Drake Maye, I love him. Go get him, buy him at cost, and he's going to stay in that top 5. What do you guys think?
You continue to spit out those facts, Jamie, because you're right. Drake Maye is currently leading the league in passing yards, even though I believe he has yet to have a 300-yard passing game in his career, but he is consistently getting.
Yeah. I mean, his pass attempts, he's getting a lot of attempts. I know he's top 10 to 12 in pass attempts, but his yards are number 1.
He's been incredibly efficient because he's 3rd in completions, but he's actually 11th in attempts. So it has been efficiency, and it's funny how suddenly, the fear last year especially was the weapons, right? What he doesn't really have much around him. Well, I mean, Stephon Diggs certainly has changed that, right? So that's been one big thing that's led to his rise for sure. Is okay, he's targeting Stephon Diggs, and that's certainly helped his ceiling. It's also helped Diggs more the more Drake has done that.
And then I'm noticing now he's also top 5 in red zone attempts. So they are allowing him to throw the ball in the red zone, which means more touchdowns. Air yards, man. He's top 3 in air yards. So he's throwing the ball down the field. And those money throws, he's number 2 in money throws. And he's even getting pressured a lot.
Do we call him Money May now, or is that
I like it. Yeah. They said a Money Manziel. Yeah, let's start.
I was thinking too, yeah, we
Money
need to
May.
replace that guy for sure with an actual competent quarterback and decent human being.
So, Raul, do you have anything to say about my man, Drake Maye?
Yeah, I mean, Jamie, you really might have said it all, but except for the phrase buy high, because I support buying high. And I think this is a guy you can justifiably buy high on, because I even see more untapped ceiling for Drake Maye for 3 reasons. One, I mean, the receiving core has a lot of nice little pieces, but no alpha target hog wide receiver. That we've seen like a Stephon Diggs, or like when AJ Brown went over to the Eagles, we've seen them elevate not just the game, but like the fantasy scoring of the quarterback. So that's one reason we could see upside. Like Drake Maye still on his rookie contract, Patriots with a lot of cap space right now could make a big play, right? Second, the rushing. Drake Maye like came out of college with this profile of like I kept hearing like Justin Herbert's body with like Josh Allen's brain, and a guy who's going to run a lot, especially in the red zone, try to bulldoze guys over. And we still haven't really seen the peak of that. And Kyle, I think you were a little skeptical of whether the rushing production would come, and actually you've kind of been right on the rushing production. Really only 2 games above 50 yards, 145-yard game, but otherwise pretty small rushing totals and attempt totals, right? They're not calling too many designed runs for Drake Maye, and that's another step. Only 2 rushing touchdowns as well. That's another step that could take.
That's where I thought he actually wouldn't be. I figured the yards would be there. I thought he'd be like a safe yards producer, but I was skeptical of the ceiling being there. And like you said, only 2 rushing touchdowns, but he's certainly been a lot better as a passer and really taking a step forward. So I think that's led to his rise. So getting a guy like Diggs and hitting the efficiency markers, like, and not just hitting them, but like Jamie said, there's a lot of categories where he's leading the league. So I mean, I know there's been real life NFL MVP talk and consideration, and that doesn't matter at all for fantasy. But usually the players considered there are usually throwing a lot of touchdowns. So the players usually among the MVP candidates are usually doing well for fantasy just because they're throwing a lot of touchdowns. So that's he's hitting his ceiling as a passer, and he's done it quickly. So I was really skeptical to think he'd take this much of a step forward right away. I mean, the Josh Allen talk was there. Josh Allen wasn't this good in year 2. So this is accelerated on because I think it was like partway through the end of year 3 is when you could really like Josh Allen really took that step forward. I believe.
I mean, I didn't even expect him to take a big leap like this, because like I said,
I would have had him higher than QB7 to be fair.
I
right?
would have,
so,
and that was even high at the time, because I think he was outside the top 12 at that time, consensus wise.
But like you said, you could easily buy him not for QB7 prices. So like it was a great investment on your part. But to the point of like, you'll never be able to buy low on him again. In fact, like Jamie just said, the people who have now probably aren't even selling him. So he's probably not like, you have better chances probably going to try and buy Josh Allen, even if like as high as Jamie said QB3, right? So he's still not lowering Josh Allen off QB1. But I wonder if Jamie had Drake Maye and Josh Allen in the league, if you'd be able to pry Josh Allen off him easier, even if like that higher ranking, because like now Maye is so young, and it's because it's like so much found money. Is there like I don't know, it's tough to quantify the price, but anyway, like try like if you can, but like know that you'll never be able to really get Drake Maye at anything less than like whatever the 101 Dynasty startup prices. Like that's probably what you're destined to have to pay now. Jamie said QB3 or QB2, right?
Yeah, 2 to 3 area.
It's funny because 2, 3, 4 to me. We're recording this before Jaden Daniels returns. It seems inevitable that once he's back, I probably will raise Daniels ahead of Maye. But because Daniels is injured right now, I would rather have Drake Maye at this precise moment. Although I guess right now,
I don't even think I'm going to put Daniels over Maye when he does return.
I know you won't. Yeah. the way I think you see. I think you like Maye as much as I like Daniel, so that might be a debate.
I mean, I love Daniels. Don't get me wrong.
There's future content there for
So,
us, Jamie.
So I did make a trade in the offseason for Drake Maye in a single quarterback league. I gave up whenever that hype for Brian Robinson. I forgot why there was hype, but remember there was hype before he went.
I remember that.
I was telling he's a lead back on a great offense, so like
yeah.
I
So
thought he was just super undervalued, but
yeah, when there was that hype in the offseason, I gave up my second round pick and Brian Robinson and got Drake Maye in a single quarterback league. And I thought I won that trade hands down back when I valued him at QB7. Now looking back at that, I feel bad. Like I should probably send him a first. Just be like, here you go. Here's a free first. Thanks for helping me win the league.
Oh man, what a power move that is! Like I don't know if you love receiving that message or you'd absolutely hate it. Like what's this? Man, Jamie, way to dunk on people. But yeah, Drake Maye, way to go. Good job. The visionary Jamie. I mean, Dynasty Court was long decided, I think, before now, but certainly we can look back on that as on that landmark decision. Judge Rahul, have you judged that we've talked enough about Drake Maye?
Yeah.
Sorry, one quick thing, and then we'll move on. But
I'm always glad I ask you at the end because you usually do have something else to say, so it's good. It's perfect.
The last point for upside is this year the Patriots played an absolutely garbage schedule. There's one game where their opponents have scored 27 points and everything is 23 or below with multiple 13, 14 point, 15 point games against. Next year, presumably they finish first, Worth second in the division. They're going to play a lot more competitive games, which I think could, push that Maye score even higher. So is 101 too much to pay? I don't know, because Drake Maye seems destined to be one of the best assets in Dynasty for years to come.
Dude, I would give up the 101, the 102, and the 103 for Drake Maye.
Yeah, 3 rookie first? Sure, yeah. 3 startup first, that's a different question. But I mean, you wouldn't have to give the 101. I mean, you'd have to probably give the 102 to trade the 101. But yeah, if you somehow also got the 103, that'd be pretty ridiculous. But I guess it's not ridiculous. Again, Jamie has him at QB2. I've got him at QB3. Rahul, where do you know where you put Maye?
I honestly think QB2. I'd move him ahead of Lamar.
Yeah, and that's where Keep Trade Cut has it that way right now. Josh Allen 1, Drake Maye 2, and as you said, the 4th overall asset in Dynasty. So, again, I'm still the lowest apparently. I'm thinking of maybe 4, maybe 3. So yeah, some habits die hard, I guess. But even at his lowest, he's still a locked-in top 5 quarterback. So
we keep bringing up Josh Allen. Is there a teammate that you guys want to talk about?
Ooh,
Jamie's killing tonight. Maybe he should be the main host. Maybe I should just. But James Cook, yes, rising in the rankings, and I love this. Like Rahul, I think this was when you mentioned. I was thinking about also mentioning him. Trying to think back at where I was ranking James Cook in the offseason, especially when there was like the. I don't know if we really thought he'd hold out, but the contract dispute was definitely a serious, I guess, hindrance to his value. I don't know if I ever dropped him outside the top 20, but I definitely think at times he probably would have been I had Drake Maye at QB 17. I'm sure there's times in the offseason I had James Cook at RB 17. So, I think if any of us had him there kind of outside the top 15, I don't know if any of us have him there now. So
I think I had him around that 15 area. I can't remember exactly. I'm guessing it was 14, 15 where I had him.
So we all had him outside the RB1 range, presumably. But yeah, has he risen right back into that top 12 and maybe even
let's say top 10,
top 12?
I got him at 9. So right.
Ooh, I would go as high as top 6. Honestly, on James Cook, man. Let me just do these rankings again because I just was looking at this.
Tough.
I have him at 6, 7, 8, and I've got him at
7, 8.
Well, let's think. James Cook, Jonathan Taylor. I don't know which. Because I think there's super high upside with both. Cook's a little bit younger, and maybe at running back that matters more. Maybe it doesn't matter because it's
only a half a year age.
And then I've got McCaffrey right behind them. So I do have them youngest to oldest, even though it feels like production-wise you'd prefer McCaffrey first, Taylor second, Cook third. But I think, again, I've got him at 6. So I don't think that the top 6 is far-fetched, Rahul. personally.
Right. I think with age, there's always that conversation at the running back position. 26, turned 26 in September. But one thing about James Cook is the wear and tear is not nearly there as much as I would say his age mates. Like especially coming out of college, he always split with Zamir White through his time at
Yeah.
Georgia, and then not really until Joe Brady took over as OC, which is in the middle of the 2023 season. So it's been about like 2 seasons worth of games now as James Cook as his lead back, who's proven he can handle heavy workloads and all the goal line touches, or at least certainly most, because they like
all the goal
rotate
line
there.
running back touches.
Yeah, well, exactly right. Um, this is a hard one. Like you guys were talking about, I think I had him as RB16 when we did our rankings episode, and I remember a very clear startup where I traded in front of a guy to go and get, or my pick came up in the 4th round. The guy before me took Josh Jacobs, and I traded the immediate next pick and like a later round pick to swap up to Josh Jacobs, and they took James Cook, and I was like, I just didn't. I think there's something about this profile, the smaller back, that again may have been a flaw in my game, but the meta has changed in these small explosive backs that can change your matchup really in the course of one play, as James Cook has shown he can. Those are the kinds of assets like we need to be chasing in fantasy. Like this, I feel like this is a simple enough conversation, right? James Cook has been phenomenal. How high is probably the more interesting conversation, but I think even looking at the running backs, like RB6, where the top 4 of like Gibbs, Bijan, like Achan, I guess Jonathan Taylor's actually RB3 on KTC. That kind of surprised me. Yeah, top 6 doesn't sound too egregious at all for me, because maybe Hampton and Genty get up in there, and then it's like JT Cook, so no later than 7. I think this is an elite asset, and with that contract, the point about wear and tear, like that, we never know, right? At the RB position, but there is some longevity where he's going to be attached to Josh Allen and Josh Allen's offense for years to come. And I think this is a dynasty asset that, like, yeah, you want to have it on every team. And I'm like kicking myself for not offering like a late first, like early in the season, to go buy James Cook and add him to my contending teams, because now I would easily rather to have the hammer that is James Cook for a single first.
So you did mention wear and tear. He is around that 200-pound mark, right? So if you look at his fantasy points per game, he is number 6. But fantasy points per opportunity, he's 22. So he is getting the opportunity share. But I think his snap share is around that 17, 18 mark. But the opportunity share when he's on the field, he's top 10. So that, I mean, he's getting the carries, right? He's doing something with those carries. But when I look at like the fantasy points per opportunity compared to his fantasy points per game, that just makes me think they're using him too much for that sub 200-yard back. He's not being used in the receiving game like I thought he was going to be. So he's doing it on the ground more often than not. Like he's number 2 in carries. Seeing, I want to 19 a game. 19 carries a game. Like that's insane. But his receptions are down. He's only like around that top 20 area for receptions. And he's top 10 in touchdowns. So he's seeing goal line work. But man, wear and tear, I think he might fall off if they keep up this workload. So this might be a good opportunity to maybe sell high on him if someone does look at him as a top 6. Like I said, I have him at 9. I can't put him above those younger guys like Hampton, Henderson, and even Bucky Irving. So I have those 3 right above him.
Yeah, and those are the names I hadn't mentioned yet, kind of right behind that ultra productive group. Right now, like Cook, Taylor, and McCaffrey, they're kind of producing like these are the guys that'll help you win your league right now. And maybe the delineation of the first rounders, Genty and Hampton, having them ahead of that group, and then the other guys not. Maybe that's raising the first rounders too much or punishing the other guys too much as well. I know my top 11 matches the KTC top 11, and that's again those Irving, Henderson, Judkins guys like Jamie just mentioned. So I think that's maybe a big tier break there when you go, KTC, McCaffrey's RB11, and then Breece Hall is 12. That does feel like that's like a sharp tier break. And even if you look at like the overall ranks, RB6 through RB11, they're all within 9 spots of each other in the overall ranks and Superflex, 30 through 39, and then there's a bit of a gap, and you get to Hall, and even I think he's Hall's probably too highly rated there, but yeah. And again, this is back. It's the same conversation with Stroud, right? Like, Cook is I guess the anti version of Stroud, which makes sense. Stroud was a faller, Cook was a riser, and a lot of it is they're rising because production, right? Stroud isn't producing the way we wanted him to. Cook is out producing what he did. I guess the real discipline is selling him high, Jamie, right? Is because imagine like in the offseason, if you had him, it was probably so difficult to sell him. You would have given anything for a rise in value, and to like you wouldn't have even dreamed of RB6 overall prices. So now that if he hits that or hits close to it, I think KTC, I thought it was RB8. Like at that point, even if it help, selling him maybe hurts your chances to win a title. Do you have the dynasty discipline to go make that sell? And I guess each team has to decide on their own. What are the odds of winning? Are the chances strong enough to just hold it and risk losing the dynasty value? I guess the one thing that's nice with Cook and maybe over Taylor and McCaffrey is because that long-term extension is about to kick in, it does feel like he has more runway. And there's, this season ends well, his value is probably not going to drop like it did this last offseason because he's got that long-term contract locked in. He's not going to have to worry about these contract disputes anymore. So now suddenly his value, in spite of it going a non-point scoring season, it might not drop off drastically. I don't think he's going to fall out of the RB1 range. RB11 might be the absolute lowest. So you make that calculation. Is it worth it to hold it? You don't get RB6 prices in the offseason, but if you can get RB12 prices, that might still be worth the championship run you can have with it. I guess that's everyone's got to make that calculation for themselves.
Yeah. It would certainly be tough on any kind of team that's making the playoffs to part with James Cook. But again, that is the shrewd thing to do. I kind of like that breakdown there. Like added percentage of winning now versus drop off from RB6 to RB12. That might be worth the gamble to wait to capitalize on James Cook. But I think if you have James Cook, you're probably happy. RB running back in Dynasty, there are a lot of running backs that you can only really think through the end of this season, and then it's like whatever happens, right? And James Cook, I think, is firmly enter the tier where we have him in those rankings. Firmly enter the tier of this is a guy we can certainly rely on for the foreseeable future, like health permitting.
Someone will we ever be able to rely on Kaleb Johnson? Certainly, the Steelers have said no, like they can't right now, and maybe that's not in the future they can't. But yeah, what a. I mean, honestly, I think I was ranking Kaleb Johnson as like the rookie 112. Like, okay, after Dart and the tight ends, like you take him ahead of Igbuka, for instance. I think was one of my very early takes. I think later in the offseason, I was at least making that switch. Okay, Igbuka should be top 12, and Kaleb maybe is the 201, but that was probably about as low as I ever got to him in the offseason in terms of his rookie rankings. But arguably a first-round pick for me for a lot of the time. Man, imagine spending a first-round pick on Kaleb Johnson. That would have been horrible. Even if it was the 112, that still feels like you've wasted that pick. So, man, talk about a faller. He's not even the RB3 on his own team. I guess he is the RB3 on his own team. I'm acting like the RB3 here, stepping all over Jamie. Sorry, Jamie.
I just remember having many debates between RJ Harvey and Kaleb Johnson, and it came down to who do you have more? Like who are you exposed to more? Well, I already drafted RJ Harvey in 4 leagues, so let me go after Kaleb. And I keep regretting that. But I can see it turning around eventually. It's not going to happen this year. Maybe next year, halfway through. Like, he could be a guy that people are just going to ignore in next year's drafts. And he can actually work out eventually. Because because he's still only 22 years old, and it is a Pittsburgh running back. And we seen how Pittsburgh loves their running backs, so his best comparable player is Le'Veon Bell, which is an old Pittsburgh running back. So
Depends what version
like,
of Bell you get.
I still have
Le'Veon Bell.
I still have Kaleb right around that 24 mark, but I can't remember where I had him. I wasn't as high on him as like the Quinshon Judkins or
Henderson.
the Hamptons, Hendersons.
Yeah.
So I had all those guys in my top 12, and I still do. But I'm pretty sure I had Kaleb like right around that 14, 15 area with Harvey, maybe 16. I can't remember. But right now, like he is around 24, so he did lower for me. And I have that arrow keep pointing down. Like I can keep moving him farther and farther and farther. For example, do you guys remember I had Brayshaw Tootin around that 24 area?
Oh man.
He's still 20. He's 25 for me right now. 24, 25. Kaleb Johnson's one spot ahead. So I could see me moving Brayshaw Tootin above Kaleb Johnson. Even though in the offseason I had Kaleb a lot higher. I know I was ahead of the consensus on Brayshaw Tootin when I had him at 24, because I don't think anyone had him in the top 30 at that time.
Maybe at 30, I think.
I would have, yeah.
30, yeah. So
top 40
right now,
maybe, I think. Yeah.
like I'd almost rather have a Brayshaw Tootin just for his upside rather than safety, that what we thought was a safety of Kaleb Johnson. Because even when Kaleb plays, what kind of upside is this guy actually going to offer?
Yeah.
Because he's not very fast. Like he doesn't have a speed, like that much speed. And we didn't see him do all the workouts at the combine. So I don't know what kind of burst he has, the agility, his strength.
You haven't seen him on the field. We have no idea. We have nothing to go. No data whatsoever.
So I don't know.
Fumble on a kick return. That's all we got.
He didn't get much of a college target share either, even looking back. Wasn't really dominant in college. So I don't know what I was thinking grabbing a Kaleb Johnson. Maybe we thought it was a situational thing with the Steelers, thinking he was going to get all the work.
It's funny because I think he was a third rounder too, right? So we were really boosted up. I think, to be fair, Jamie, the situation. He's got 24 carries on the season, 61 yards. So that's 2.5 yards per carry. So it really hasn't been good. He has one catch for 9 yards. So we don't really have much to go on. But and I think the expectation is he was going to get a ton of work, that he would be the Najee Harris, and Jaylen Warren would remain as the Jaylen Warren, except Jaylen Warren's kind of become Najee Harris, and Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, he's scoring receiving touchdowns. I still think Jaylen Warren doesn't have a receiving touchdown in his career. He was like Josh Jacobs for all those years. But yeah, it's he's fallen all the way to. I have Kaleb Johnson at RB 43.
Oh wow! So where does consensus have him?
RB 42.
Holy crap! So I'm super high on him.
Yes,
I mean, I did say I have that. I did say I have him with that arrow pointing down, but if consensus has him in the 40s, I think that's too low, man. I think you should go buy him right
the
now.
146th overall asset, Kaleb Johnson.
Because Brayshaw Tootin is wide receiver 28, but I also am super low on Tootin because I have him and Johnson not that far apart outside the top 40. So it's weird that they're that different of price, because you feel like the argument for Tootin of him being so young would be the same for Johnson, to Jamie's point.
I even see him on Fantasy Pros at 35, but their arrow's pointing up. So I'm at 23 and pointing down. So maybe we need to meet somewhere in the middle and put him at just 30 and call it a day.
Okay, so we're done with Kaleb Johnson. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's it.
Calling it a day.
I would say really the only straws I can clutch at is like, at least he's not behind some absolute bumps, right? Like Jaylen Warren and Kenneth Gainwell have played well this year. Both have looked very explosive this year, and that's a little bit better than some, running backs we see like not get opportunities that seem like extremely like Kimani Vidal last year not overtaking Gus Edwards, right?
Oh
Like that
boy.
that
Yeah.
that's like a little more damning, which is funny because now we've seen Vidal in his spot starts, but maybe there's
He
just
overtook
that.
Hassan Haskins.
Hassan Haskins, yeah. But I think, I mean, not to spend too much on this but it's not just like the prospect, but I heard so much about this Arthur Smith wide zone system that's so perfect for Kaleb Johnson. It's gonna mask his flaws, right? And I just totally believed it to him at the Najee role, but it's been a tough watch, and there's certainly a lot of rookies around there. Like, man, Kaleb Johnson or Jonathan Brooks, which was worse? At least I could stash Brooks on an IR spot, and I can't do that with Kaleb.
That's true. That I mean, man, the health. Yeah, but I guess you're right. If you've had him on IR the whole time, he's not even taking up a roster spot. Not to be fair, you might be able to have stashed Kaleb Johnson on taxi squad, so it's not that much different. But
or as a healthy inactive whenever he switches, and then sleeper forces you to move it out.
oh right, yeah, because it'd be considered out, right? So yeah. Oh boy. But that it gets almost worse, right? Anyway, nothing can be worse than Kaleb Johnson. Sorry, this season has gone horrible. Because I mean, we're talking about rookies, the Jaguars, right? Like it was. Hey, it's Brian Thomas Jr. We're going to talk about, and there was concern with Brian Thomas Jr. of a receiver coming in and immediately just looking like he's the better player. Now, we didn't expect that player to be Jacoby Myers in a trade mid-season, coming in and having this explosive game in the first game back with Brian Thomas back from injury. Myers looks like he's the guy. Thomas's first game back from injury, but even before his injury, there's a reason they traded for Jacoby Myers. And A, the Travis Hunter injury, but B, Thomas has been quite disappointing this season. So, Jamie, you wanted to call out Brian Thomas Jr. as a faller. So,
yeah. I remember in the beginning of the season, everyone had him top 12. I don't think I've seen him outside top 12.
We did in our second episode. I think all of us had him in that top 2 tier, top 3 tier, and I don't think any of our tiers there.
I want to say like top 8, honestly. Yeah.
But his fall, I have him right now at 20, and I don't think it's all his fault. You have to think of what the person, like, we look at him as a fantasy asset, putting up points or non-points, but he's a person. And look at his personal life. His best friend ended up committing suicide for something that wasn't even his fault, that he was getting blamed for. I don't know. If you don't know what to talk about, go look it up. So I don't want to get into it.
Is this the Cowboys player?
But go look into what he's going through mentally. You gotta put that, like, are you able to go onto the field and actually produce like you did last year at the same caliber if you're going through something like that? No. So I don't know if he's ever going to get right, because I don't think I would be able to. I know he's got the talent. We all know he's got the talent. And it just saddens me that he's fallen this far for something that's not his fault. And I just can't put him that high. I don't think we'll ever put him that high again. So we have to look at him in that 20 range, maybe even farther, 20 to 24, maybe even next year if he does the same thing. Are we going to move him down to the 30s? Is he just going to fall off and never become anything and just not exist ever again in fantasy football? We don't know. But it's hard for me to trust a situation like that just because what he's going through personally.
I guess it definitely feels like it's, at the very least, it's probably not going to get better this year. I mean, I don't think that his personal life is the only reason of the struggles. I mean, Trevor Lawrence hasn't necessarily also taken that step and been better than his traits and his tools indicate too, right? So Thomas is also not getting the best quality passes. Add that to everything that's going on, and you can see why it can be at times tough to catch the football, right? I think that's been a common criticism is the drops this year, certainly, and some of them get magnified, and maybe there's further context to that. To like the consensus ranking, wide receiver 18 right now on Keep Trade Cut. 48th overall player, and certainly would have been in the top 12. I guess looking back at the history.
Yeah, so I'm a little
you
bit
have his
lower.
points. Or yeah.
Like, I'm just considering his personal situation, so that's why I have him a little bit lower, and I just think he's going to keep falling until we see it again.
I am looking at like the history, and on looks like August 28th, he was the 12th overall Superflex asset. So that the first round startup pick value, even if it was just for like a brief like day, it's maybe as brief as the Stroud as QB1 overall time, but to now be a fourth rounder in startup pick value, and to your point, like it's probably not going to get better this year. So all through the offseason, we're probably going to be questioning it. If there's an increase next year, that'll be great, but that'll be a long time where his value isn't. So even if let's say he produces a top 12 wide receiver, maybe his value, we drag it back too far back and we don't raise it back quick enough. I was just looking at my rankings at, I get 17 right now, actually. So kind of right where consensus is. So it's, yeah, it is unfortunate that's where it's come to. So thanks to bringing him up.
I have him at a dynasty team, and I'm starting like Deebo Samuel over him. I even started Michael Wilson over him the past.
No Marvin Harrison. Michael Wilson's been what Brian Thomas was last year. The top 12 receiver, right?
Cortland Sutton, definitely, I'm starting him over him, even though he's kind of not getting the same routes participation that he should be because of the other risers on that team.
Now, Parker Washington did leave this past game with an injury, so I mean, we're dynasty, just maybe we're looking at a too small scope, but I mean, does that help, even just in the small term, a little bit of help Thomas earn more targets? Who knows?
I mean, they're two different players. Strange is back, so I can see Strange getting more targets.
Parker Wash, especially if he's playing like a slot receiver role, those middle of the field targets, post the perimeter targets. I mean, maybe Jacoby Myers moves to the slot, but that maybe does that help Thomas because he's now the main guy to look for downfield instead of Myers. So there's things that could potentially help his value, but yeah, it feels like you're maybe right, JB. It's going to be hard to recapture that top 12. You agree with that, Rahul? Is Brian Thomas Jr. ever a top 12 wide receiver ever again?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if Brian Thomas does recapture that. To use an example of Garrett Wilson, and to the eye says Garrett Wilson has always been like a upper echelon wide receiver, and Brian Thomas's play this year has certainly not hit some of those heights. But Garrett Wilson maintained a really high dynasty value that his production, like maybe in a small spurt this year, finally hit when his value finally dipped, right? But I think even a third year Brian Thomas, if he hits wide receiver 12, wide receiver 10 numbers, then you could see people move him back. I wouldn't say it's the death knell for him as a top 2-round dynasty asset. The bigger question is he going to get there? But I think if we knew the answer to such questions, we'd probably use our talents to make a lot of money predicting things. So
be winning more league, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's hard. But
well, apparently Jamie's a robot from the future, so maybe he knows that.
So yeah, I guess if Jamie
he said no, so
maybe Brian Thomas is cooked, but it's tough. The vibes are so bad, right? And I haven't read as much into the mental stuff, Jamie, that you were talking about, but I think one thing that I filed away in preseason and then didn't think about it too much, but in preseason, Trevor Lawrence threw an absolute hospital ball that Brian Thomas got just cleared out. He didn't play another minute in preseason. And then you kind of saw, this whole narrative and really him being scared to catch the ball over the middle, scared to get hit. And it's is there something even falling through? But then Liam Cohen's been down on him. They add wide receivers. Before Travis Hunter got injured, there was a lot of media talk that Hunter was about to overtake Brian Thomas as the wide receiver 1. So the vibe is definitely very bad around that. And is that going to stop me from buying low or drafting as a relative sleeper? I don't know if it will. We'll have to check back in August there.
Well, the next, we talk fallers, talk risers, got to balance it out, right? So the next riser is Troy Franklin from the Denver Broncos. Who wants to rise up and lead off the conversation about Troy Franklin? I guess I
I
have
don't
a
like Troy
question.
Franklin.
Is do you guys consider Troy Franklin the number one receiver on the Broncos, and do you rank him ahead of Sutton in Dynasty? Maybe those are two different questions, just because they.
Mm.
But I guess that's maybe where we can start this conversation off.
That's two different questions because of the age.
Fair enough.
I still rank Sutton ahead. I gotta say, Franklin's not a guy I was really.
Oh, really interesting. Because I figured the opposite, right? If it's going to be two different questions, because of the age, Franklin is so much higher in Dynasty, but you might still consider Sutton the wide receiver one because of production standpoint.
Is that what I said? Maybe I messed up my words because that's what I intended.
Sorry.
Yeah. I consider Sutton the wide receiver one, but Franklin ahead in Dynasty. But this is not a guy that I'm personally too high on, and there's some Pat Bryant stats hit my timeline the last couple of days. So Franklin's probably a guy I'm more looking to sell high on, but I won't deny that his value has certainly arisen from a guy who barely contributed anything right in his rookie year.
Yeah, there's a stretch where Franklin has been seeing 8 to 10 targets a game. And I think right now he's actually running more routes than Cortland Sutton is. I heard a stat from JJ Zacharyson. I want to say last week Sutton did have a good game, but his route participation wasn't as high. It dipped. And right now I have Sutton at 42, and Troy Franklin at 41 in my dynasty ranks. So both outside my top 40, back to back. Troy Franklin's pointing up, Sutton's pointing down. So it's just going to keep getting a bigger and bigger gap between those two as time goes on.
Well, this is hilarious. I have them both exactly at the consensus KTC spots. Franklin at 35 and Cortland Sutton at 41. So maybe based on your rankings, me and everyone else are raising Franklin a little too much. But again, the age difference, I think, is what's causing that.
Like I said, I have Franklin at 41, but I do have that arrow pointing up. Sutton's at 42. His arrow is going to point down. So I'll eventually get there at that top 35. But I think Pat Bryant's going to come in and be the main guy when it all comes said and done going into the future. And Franklin is always going to be that secondary option.
All right. And because Sutton recently signed an extension, right? So we do expect that, and maybe honestly, by the time Sutton leaves, are they bringing in another wide receiver one, either in free agency or they've drafted one where Franklin is never really the one on the team? Now that doesn't necessarily stop him from being a productive fantasy player either. The offense is a good environment. The wide receiver two could still be incredibly productive. I think that is what we're seeing with Franklin. So certainly an asset that you want to buy into, but. And maybe that the fact that he hasn't had this huge breakout where he's clearly the wide receiver one on his team, that actually helps because he's still affordable and you're able to buy him, right? He's not valued as a top 30 receiver right now. I mean, like Matthew Golden is 2 spots below him. And so if you tell me their price is really similar, I'll definitely want to buy Troy Franklin relative to Matthew Golden. Now, this was it's funny because there was a big question I had entering the season because we hadn't really seen this. The Xavier Worthy breakout and Rashee Rice on the field at the same time. The 2024 season started with Rashee Rice dominating. And then Xavier Worthy kind of ended the 2024 season as, oh man, he could be the Chiefs wide receiver one. So what would it look like together on the field? Rice has just returned. Rice looks even better than he did last year, frankly. This is whatever he did to rehab, maybe even strengthened beyond what he was before. Because now I wonder if his price is even skyrocketed beyond what it's ever been. And it looks like Worthy is unfortunately worthy of being called a faller, right, guys?
Yeah, I definitely haven't fallen. I think we talked like a month or so ago. I got an offer with that Superflex league with Trevor Lawrence, giving up him for an Xavier Worthy, and I was like, heck no, I ain't doing it. But you guys, I believe one of you said it was a fair offer because we were looking at Worthy as a top 20 receiver. Right now, I have him at 30, so he has fallen for me a whole 10 spots.
Yeah, I think, I mean, 30 seems fair. 31 on KTC, but another guy I definitely held in very high esteem. I think we had a bold predictions episode where I said Xavier Worthy was going to be a top 12 receiver, and if on the very first or offensive series of the entire season, Travis Kelce does not run full speed into Xavier Worthy and dislocates his shoulder, could we be seeing a different season? Because I definitely think he's been playing a little bit hobbled, but he has not proven that he can hang as like a, regular man beater in the NFL just yet. And I think one aspect of the late season breakout that I didn't take enough into consideration, like obviously Rashid Rice wasn't there, right? That's on the surface. But a lot of where Xavier Worthy's points came in that breakout was actually in very short area screen targets, like kind of pop passes, like crossing routes over the middle. Those are the kind of routes that Rashid Rice has come back to handle, and maybe should have known a little bit more that Rashid Rice is always going to come back and handle. And we've not seen Worthy, be that guy that can win consistently downfield. He's getting a few shots here and there. Mahomes and his connection has not been built up just yet. But whatever it is, like, I think, wide receiver 30 is actually a perfect place around there. Like Luther Burden's around there, like Michael Pittman, rebuild or win now. Maybe you want him over Pittman, Adams, AJ Brown. Like, I'd probably still take AJ Brown.
How about Ricky Pearsall?
I take Ricky Pearsall, over Worthy.
I've got them back to back. I don't know.
Yeah, but
I still have Worthy ahead of Pearsall there, but it's, I guess it's funny. Pearsall hasn't really fallen that far. It feels like that's good. Because I had Worthy higher than Rice, so I think at points I was maybe as high as like wide receiver 15. You know what? Let's just go 17. Like with James Cook and Drake Maye, I was wide receiver 17. I was positional rank 17 on every player we've talked about. Unfortunately, it seems like I'm wrong in all of them in either direction. Because Worthy has definitely fallen at least 10 spots. 26, I guess. Let's say 9 spots. Not me just being arbitrary. I don't know if there's an arbitrary time cutoff, but do you want to? Is Xavier worthy of continuing to being talked about, or do we?
I'm good.
Yeah, let's move on.
Well, we're tight for time, so let's get to tight ends.
Nice.
And it's funny, we're going to start with 2 rookie tight ends, and it makes sense. It's we hyped up 4 different rookie tight ends: Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland. Heck, you could even say 5 for going. Mason Taylor certainly got a lot of hype. I was hyping up Terrence Ferguson a ton. Elijah Arroyo as well. It's funny how we're talking about these tight end risers. It's none of them. We all, Jamie already had Warren at tight end 3, so it's tough to be a riser there. He correctly predicted where he should be. I think, to be fair, he's Warren has risen in my rankings too, but not to the extent that Oronde Gadsden. So, Jamie, another one of your guys. You're telling us to draft him everywhere. So
my most owned dynasty tight end, Oronde Gadsden. I had him like going into the season. I don't remember exactly, but he was outside top 24. There's no way you could predict what he did. Right now, he's all the way up at I've seen as high as 5, 6, 6, 7. Right now, I have him at 6, which may seem a little high, but I can still see his arrow pointing up.
So Jamie at 6, keep trade cut at 7.
6, 7. Definitely, you're getting this guy for free. I know he kind of cooled off the past couple weeks, so he might actually go down a little bit, but he's still going to be considered in that top 10. And I sold him for a 2027 first rounder. So that brought me from 18 shares all the way to 17 shares. And I don't even want to get rid of him as much as I could have. I kept all my shares.
Because part of it is probably he's producing well enough that he's in your lineup, right? So there's a lot
He
of these
is.
leagues you're looking
He's
like,
in my-
man, he's my
yeah.
best option at tight end. Why would I sell him? Right?
No, he's not even my best option at tight end. Like I have a team with like him and Warren and him and Bowers,
tight end
him or
premium, you just play 'em
McBride.
all.
I played them all. I have a team where I
Fair
have
enough.
4. I'm starting 4 tight ends, and Gaston's one of them. So
Only tight end, baby. Love it.
I love it, man. And he hasn't disappointed, really. And I just see him. You can go out and buy him if people aren't privy to where he should be ranked in that top 10. Like I said, I sold him for a first. If you can get him for a second, go do that, because I don't think you're going to be able to get him that cheap at all.
Anything to say about Oronde Gadsden?
I think y'all said it all. Really, it's even the fall off now. It's kind of coincided with Joe Alt getting re-injured and that offensive environment deteriorating a little bit. It's nothing that makes me worry or makes me think that this is a flash in the pan. Like, the talent really has spoken for itself, and he has like a converted wide receiver kind of profile to him. Like, this is a guy that we can see that difference making upside at tight end. So I think certainly top 10 is justifiable, and in a lot of leagues, the only share I got was off waivers. So you've gained immense value if you hit on Oronde Gadsden.
Dude, I still don't even have a share of Gadsden, so you're doing better than I am, Raul. But there's also, outside of McConkey, there's no real long-term, oh man, this guy's going to take targets away from Gadsden. I mean, Quentin Johnston's got, I guess, next year is the final year of his rookie contract. I mean, in theory, the team could pick up the 5th-year option. I guess they would have had, I guess they'd have to, after this season, they'd have to declare if they're taking the 5th-year option.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe that's there, but that's still, I don't know if that's really getting in the way of Gadsden. It looks like long term, he's a huge part of this offense as the main tight end on the team. That's a position that Herbert maybe at times hasn't targeted as much, but it feels like the times he hasn't is because, we're going to throw everything to Austin Eckler or Keenan Allen, right? And it feels like Ladd might dominate targets the way Keenan Allen did, but I also don't think it'll be Eckler, not an Eckler type offense. I don't think that's quite what they're going to run going into the future. Maybe Hampton is that type of pass catcher, but it does feel like Gadsden again. Most years might say he's the number 2 target on the team. You can say that for a long time with a really great quarterback like Herbert. That's the ingredient that you want to have to buy in. And it's funny because, who's at 6, who's at 7, who's at 8. It's a debate for me right now between Gadsden, Loveland, and this other rookie tight end. It's funny because we have a tight end riser faller section on the same team, Cleveland Browns tight end. So we're going to talk about Harold Fannin as a riser, but also David Njoku as a faller. Does feel like they're connected, and it's tough to ignore the fact that they play the same position, even though there are times where they're on the field at the same time, actually quite a lot. But Fannin becoming a target earner now, he's risen too. And again, wasn't one of the top 5 tight. I had Fannin at tight end 6, Gadsden at tight end 7, maybe even 8. I think at points I had Thomas Fedone ahead of Gadsden. So that
and that was in rookie rankings. Right now, I have Fannin at top 10 in my overall tight ends.
I was gonna say, okay. I thought you say overall, like in Dynasty, overall top 10 ass. Okay, now that makes sense. And so basically, right where you have Gadsden, right, Jamie?
Behind Gadsden.
Okay, and that was my question: is Gadsden risen? Because earlier in the season, the way Fannin started so hot, right away, week 1, he would have risen up into this. He would have been a huge rise for me right from the get go. But now it seems like Gadsden's done well enough to even jump where Fannin rose to.
I mean, Fannin, he's top 10 in targets. He's seeing a target share of almost 20% on the Browns. His air yards are insane. Top 12. His deep targets. I mean, he's not really getting deep targets, but what he's awesome at is just catching the ball and running with it. So his yak is awesome. I don't have the exact number. He's top 10 in yak right now. I know that for a fact. I don't have the exact number. He only has 3 touchdowns on the year, but I mean, he's seeing targets.
So that,
Short
like 3
targets.
touchdowns might be like half of their receiving touchdowns this
Yeah,
year.
That's not a team with a lot of receiving touchdowns.
Yeah. But the dude, I said it before on this podcast. This dude isn't just a tight end. He is a weapon. And when I met his mom and his uncle, and I showed them my breakdown of him, they were so impressed. They were like, "Wow, you know my son." Like, I can't. So my future stepson is going to be a beast. He's going to put up points in the future. This is just a taste of what you're going to see. You get the ball in his hands, throw a 5-6 yard pass to him. He's going to run for another 5-6 yards. He's going to get a first down every single time. The dude's a beast. He's a weapon. He'll catch anything that you throw to him. Go get Harold Fannin. And on the flip side, go sell Njoku, because Njoku, Fannin's eating into him. And I tried to sell him for a second. I thought it was fair. No one's biting, so I might have to settle for a third, and I might actually do it.
Interesting. Okay, there we go. We've got to just live update on Njoku prices. Can we get a second for him?
Yeah, I see. Just to
He's
finish
tight end
that,
26 right now, by the way. Njoku is so. I think I'm looking at my rankings, and I mean, heck, I've got him at 21, so I haven't even dropped that far yet. But yeah, I mean, I think he was probably viewed as the top 12 tight end entering the season, even after they drafted Harold Fannin. So yeah, what a fall for Njoku. But go ahead, Raul.
Yeah, we might need to go back to a different dynasty court case from that day. But even I didn't think this season would play out as it has for the Cleveland tight ends. I do think certainly at a third price, or if a win now team has Njoku, like even like a Zach Ertz, Juwan Johnson, Dalton Schultz, I wouldn't mind actually buying David Njoku, whose contract does expire with the Browns this year. I do think he's still I think Njoku is a strong talent, one of the best at yards after catch in the entire NFL. Whatever reason, we'll have to go back and look at why it didn't work out this year. It's also been the Cleveland Browns, right? Like, it doesn't surprise me so much that it has.
We're hoping he leaves, right? Like, this is not a player we want to see
resign. It's not going to happen, because think about it. They got offers for Njoku before the trade deadline, and they said no. Why would you keep a guy on the roster when you already know you have his replacement, and you could have got something out of it instead of just letting him walk? It doesn't make sense. So
it is the Cleveland Browns, Jamie. They do tend to do some things that don't make sense. You know that, though. Enjoy the game this weekend, by the way. Yeah, you'll see it first.
I'll be at the game.
Yep. Hopefully, this was a functional and great episode. Hopefully, this episode rises in your rankings and we rise in your esteem based on our great analysis. But that I'd be not in jest, because Jamie and Raul are both fantastic. I think they provide a lot of great information, and I hopefully provided some comic relief. And also all the details, like, again, subscribing to the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel, support all the great shows we have, from the Fantasy Parlay FF, their duo shows, or Keith and Casey's Stats to Know, or the F6P Hour, the flagship show with Joe Bond. All that's available, again, on the Fantasy Six Pack YouTube channel, fantasy6pack.net, Fantasy Six Pack Discord, great spots, but also get more access, full access with the All Access membership. F6P All Access memberships are available at a 15% discount with the promo code F6PPods. F6PPODS. And I don't need to spell out risers and fallers. I don't need to dance it out either. But anything, Rahul or Jamie, you guys want to say before we end this episode?
No, another good one in the books. Really enjoy this topic. And it's always important to, no one's right at all times in fantasy football. It's the nature of the game we play. The people who, pretend they're right are probably the ones you shouldn't be listening to. That great endorsement for the show.
I do admit I'm wrong quite a lot. So
yeah, that's a skill to have, and one that only improves, your game moving forward. So hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to the next one.
Yeah, I know. think we do hold ourselves accountable quite well, and show up here every week to help people out. So, Jamie, you've had so many good transitions. You have something to transition the sound of this episode.
Hopefully, I get the rise in our viewers' rankings, and you will start listening to my Dynasty takes a little more to heart, and it doesn't fall.
He fell off there, but yeah, that's okay. Because the curtains are falling on this episode as we actually lost Jamie at the end there. The internet's falling.
What a
It's all
transition.
falling. Yeah, that's okay though. I put him on the spot too much, but we're gonna end it here and say join us next time on the Dynasty Six Pack. See you all next week.